176 years ago, in two Massachusetts villages just a few miles from Boston, a handful of farmers and tradespeople, their patience with the oppressive acts of a government 3,000 miles away exhausted, struck the first militant blow of the American Revolution. The story of Lexington and Concord begins in Boston, capital city of New England. From Boston, on the night of April 18, 1775, 700 British soldiers crossed the Charles River and marched inland to seize the arms hidden at Concord by the Provincial Congress. At Lexington Green, patriots blocked their line of march. After a skirmish, the British went on to Concord, and amazingly, to defeat. All-night rides by Paul Revere, William Dawes, and Samuel Prescott had warned the country folk of the Redcoats' approach. Patriot militiamen seized their muskets and hurried to rallying places. At this house in Lexington, John Hancock and Samuel Adams, two eminent patriot leaders, were roused by Revere. On the quiet Lexington Green, American militiamen had recently been holding military drills. Now at Buckman Tavern, just off the green, they assembled during early morning of April 19, 1775, to await the British. Two lines of Minutemen, numbering about 70 under Captain John Parker, refused to disperse and let the 400 British pass. No one knows for certain whether Redcoat or Minuteman fired first, but when the firing ended 15 or 20 minutes later, 8 Americans were dead and 10 wounded, and a war had begun. Here the Minutemen had made their stand. The words attributed to Captain Parker expressed the spirit of that morning. Stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon. But if they mean to have a war, let it begin here. Captain Parker, rifle in hand, today dominates Lexington Green, while a short distance away is the belfry, formerly on the green itself, from which the alarm was sounded. To the Harrington house, just north of the green, at the height of battle, came Jonathan Harrington, first to be mortally wounded, to die on the steps of his home at the feet of his wife. Oh, what a glorious day this is, the radical Sam Adams, hearing the muskets of Lexington, had exclaimed. The battle was joined, but not until the British reached Concord, 5 miles away, could patriots have believed how gloriously the day would end. At the east approach of the Old North Bridge, a group of these 300 or 400 provincials had gathered, while British troops in separate detachments were destroying provincial supplies throughout Concord. The Minutemen defied the Redcoats' warning shots and marched on the bridge in their first offensive action of the war. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flag to April's breeze unfurled, here once the embattled farmers stood and fired the shot heard round the world. From the old manse, Reverend William Emerson, grandfather of Ralph Waldo, watched the Concord fighting. Here later, Nathaniel Hawthorne lived and wrote. Across the street, Elisha Jones had stored supplies for the Minutemen. As Jones stood here, a bullet from the battle hit the house beside him. The hole is still there. Major Buttrick, the American commander at North Bridge, lived a moment's walk from the spot where he led the attack. In 5 minutes here, a chain of events reaching into our lives today began. Though few of these Americans sought it yet, independence was now inevitable. By noon, the British left Concord and, under continual fire, retreated to Boston. They lost 273, the Minutemen 93. Bitter years lay ahead, but men with the will to be free had struck out for freedom.